Alright, so your objective is going to be to grab one of these soda cans, and then you're going to pick it up and then drop it in one of these plastic containers here, one of the red bins here. So the first step is, let's go ahead and open up this world. So open sample world, go to robots, and this is going to be a universal robot. So just scroll down to universal robots. Go ahead and select the world. Alright, so once you have the world open, you can see that you have 3 different types of universal robots. And if you expand this menu over here on the left side, you'll see those universal robots are labeled UR3E, UR5E, and UR10E. So 10E is going to be the largest universal robot, and the controller, the name of the controller, if you click on controller, you'll see is URE_can_gripper. So we have that open on the right. If you don't see it opened on the right, what you could do is you can just click edit and it should show up. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our own controller that's going to be able to pick up one of these cans, and we're going to go ahead and drop it off. So to do that, let's go ahead and do Wizards Robot Controller. So new robot controller, and let's just go ahead and copy what we have. It's not letting me copy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder in my docs. I'm just going to call it my Universal Robot 10 because I'm going to control the larger robot. So I'm going to select that folder. Alright, so this is all files are copied, so I'm going to go ahead and close it. I'm going to go ahead and select next, and I'm going to select C++. And that's what I'm going to name it. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it as that. My Universal Robot 10, E10. Alright, so first let's go ahead and include some key libraries that we're going to need. And so those 2 libraries, or the libraries that we're going to use, are the distance sensor and the motor. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this from a previous code. And same thing with the time step. So we're going to define a time step. Alright, now that we have that set up, let's go ahead and create our motors. So I'm just going to type in motor, and I'm going to name my first, I'll call it claw 1. And so it's very important how you label your motor. So those labels are already given to us, and if you look at the previous controller that's provided, you have your claw is going to be these 3 motors. So finger 1, finger 2, and then the middle finger. So claw 1, I'm just going to call it, it's going to be called finger underscore 1 underscore joint 1. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it. I'm going to call this claw 2. If you want to call it finger 1 and finger 2, I mean, you could do that as well. Doesn't really matter. The only thing that's important is that you have this exact string embedded inside your controller here. Alright, so we have our motors for our claw. Now we need our motors for, as you can see here, we have motors for the shoulder lift. So that's going to be this motor right there. Then we have the elbow joint, which is going to be that motor right there. Then we have wrist 1 and wrist 2. So I believe wrist 1 is this rotation and wrist 2 is that rotation. So let me go ahead and create another motor. This is shoulder lift joint, so I'm just going to call it shoulder lift or shoulder. The next one is elbow joint, so I'm just going to call it elbow. And then what else do we have? We have wrist 1 and wrist 2. So wrist underscore joint 1 and 2. Okay. Alright, so there's wrist 1. Alright, so I have them all labeled, and similar to what we've done in the past, you need to set the position, the initial position, to be infinite, so that way it can continuously rotate. So you need to make sure that all your motors here are just set to infinite position. That's the initial position. So we'll go ahead and just say claw 1. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste. And then you need to set all motors to initial velocity of 0. So Alright, so we have our initial velocity and our initial position. One thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and set up our distance sensor. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste something that I have in a previous. Actually, you can just uncomment this. Here's the uncomments. That's already, those lines of code are already provided for you. For the distance sensor, it's going to be, well, if you look closely, it's going to be just called simply distance sensor. So let me go ahead and put that in there. Alright, so for time step though, we're going